Hi, Amanda Heath here, the founder of the Thriving Artist Business School. And today I'm going to talk to artists, you as an artist, about the fear of failure. And it's one of the biggest things I come across when I'm working with the students. It's one of the biggest things that can hold us back from our success. So stay around if you want to know more about how to overcome it. Okay, so fear of failure. We have all experienced it at one level or another at some point in our life. Every single one of us is, especially when we're doing something that we're really passionate about and is very kind of personal to us and is quite vulnerable, really, because it's a little bit of our soul that we're putting out there with our artwork. So when we do that, we are inevitably putting ourselves out there for criticism, for failure, for, all those awful things that we perceive might happen to us. But ultimately, really, and we do worry. We worry what people will say. We'll worry that we have a passion and we gave it a go and we didn't make it, and what if that happens? And we kind of go into this state of doom and gloom, and then fear just literally paralyzes us. And it's the ego, obviously, that tries to keep us safe. It doesn't like change. It doesn't like the unknown. And anything that is brave or risky is just like, oh, don't do it. It's too risky. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if you make a fool of yourself? But how I like to look at it is, what if everything goes right? So flip it on its head. Instead of what if it goes wrong, what if people laugh at me, what if I fail, what if it goes right? What if I sell way more art than I thought I would? What if people absolutely are moved to the very core by my pieces? What if, I brighten somebody's day, or, the tiniest little things. So instead of looking at what could happen on a negative front, what could happen on a positive front? What if I, can leave my job and make art full time in 3 months? Looking at those kind of options as well. Because on the same note as fear of failure, we have fear of success. And a lot of us are thinking, what happens if I get really successful and I have to pay loads of taxes and I can't taxes? That sounds like I'm going off in a taxi. Taxes. And what if I can't keep up with the demand? Or what if, any of my art goes missing and, all sorts of things. And we put those kind of obstacles in our way as well. So fear of success is just another kind of guise of fear of failure. Okay. And what we want to do is flip that and not let it stop us, because ultimately, if it does, what a waste. We've been given a gift, a talent, and to let fear step in the way would just be, it would just be heartbreaking, to be honest. So, yeah, the other thing to mention about fear as well is that your biggest lessons and the biggest periods of growth come out of what we deem as failure. So I certainly know I've had loads of failures. I mean, possibly more failures than successes. But part of my approach is to just get back up and carry on. And actually, every time I've failed, I've made huge learnings, huge discoveries that have helped me move forward and then just take enormous leaps. So now I actually get excited about failing. So I'm like, yes, I've just learned a load of stuff that is going to really launch my business, my art practice, whatever it is, a lot further forwards. Because we make mistakes in our art just like we make mistakes in business, and nothing is ever going to go smoothly. You will never get everything right, because if you do, you're playing it way too safe. What you want to do is just have goals that are a little bit outside your comfort zone. You think, oh gosh, I'd love that, but I'm just not sure it's achievable. And then those kind of things really challenge us. I've mentioned it before, Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic, the book. If you haven't read it, definitely read it, because she talks about fear and talks about the fact that it will always be there. We can't get rid of it, and it would be totally unsafe and impractical to get rid of it, because it's what keeps us alive. But she talks about fear as in, you can come along for the journey in the car with me and with inspiration, but you sit in the back, you don't touch the steering wheel, you don't touch any of the controls. I acknowledge you're there, you can have your voice, and that's it. And I just thought that was a really lovely way of thinking about fear. It is always going to be there. It's how we deal with it that makes the difference. So fear for me is progression. Failure is progression, it's lessons, it's learning. It's okay, that didn't work. I now have loads of information. Now I know exactly which direction to go in to make it work. So instead of fear of failure, have a fear of not failing, because if you're not failing, you are playing it safe. Okay? Hopefully that resonated on some level. We all are frightened at some point or another, frequently, to be honest. And it's, as I said, it's how we deal with it that determines how well we're going to do and how we progress forward, whether we step into that kind of bravery and courage and move through it anyway, because every single thing I've got in my life, and I know from friends I'm thinking about as well who are artists, everything they have succeeded with and has really launched them has been just on the other side of fear. So step into it, be sensible, take risks, and if you really find, set yourself a small challenge, really nail it. And every time you do that and you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad, I came out of it alive and I've done this, then you move forward. And if you take a small challenge and it goes completely pear-shaped, then who cares? Really, who cares? The only person we need to be worried about is us, ourselves, and just going for our dreams, basically. So, yes, hopefully that helps, and I will stop rattling on. I feel really passionate about fear of failure because it held me back for way, way, way too long. I stayed in jobs that were fantastic. I had great clients, wonderful businesses, but they weren't aligned. And the reason I didn't go for this, which is what I'm doing now, which I love, is because I was just frightened. I was frightened because I had 2 children and I was the sole provider for them. And I was frightened because I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't have a degree, all of those things that we all have our own fears and insecurities. And basically, they're nonsense, really. So it's just the sooner we get over them, the sooner we can move forward. So if you would like more tips, then somewhere around this video, there is a link to a masterclass, and it's the 4 key stages to consistent art sales, to how to make more art sales. And in that video, I talk about the 3 biggest mistakes I see artists make that actually hold them back from making those sales as well. So hopefully this has helped you, spurred you on. We are no longer afraid of failure.